Well, that's interesting. That's not right at all.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Punto How To. You join me in my garage today, sponsored by decongestant medication and prescription painkillers, because I have both a cold and a bad back at the moment. But as needs must, I need to get a move on with this car because I want to get it restored and working and in a good condition as quickly as I can. I've been putting off this next job as long as I can, but I realise now that I can't procrastinate any longer. I need to delve into the engine and find out a little bit more about what's going on. Just to give you the backstory, I bought this car in October. When I picked it up, it was seriously lacking in power. That did improve a little bit, and there's been some little gradual improvements as I've been doing little jobs and bits and bobs on it. But I've decided that the best way forward would be to pull the head off the engine and also pull the oil pan off the engine and have a look and see what sort of state the internals of the engine are in. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping that I'm not going to have to go and do a major engine overhaul, but I think the engine is okay overall. It just is probably suffering from a chronic lack of underservicing, so I need to have a look and see what's going on inside it. I have to confess, I've never pulled the head on this particular engine before, so I've got my handy manual that's on the side up here to guide me through the process, and I'll talk you through as I'm going. But this isn't so much a how-to video, more a you come along and join me whilst I pull this engine apart and see what's going on inside it. The other thing is I'm going to be doing this in my own time, so I'm not going to be doing a regular kind of video start to finish of what's going on with the engine, but in this video I hope to at least get the cylinder head off and have a look at the tops of the pistons and see what's going on inside the cylinder head as well. Because of my cold and back problems, if for any reason I do end up slumped over the front of this car, under the bonnet and unconscious, if someone could just let my wife know, that would be quite nice. Perhaps she can call an ambulance then. Right, let's get on with things. So I need to drink this tea, and then I did a lot of work recently sort of refurbishing all of the air intake pipes and stuff, so I need to get them off again, and then we can actually get down to the nitty-gritty of pulling this engine apart. So let's get on with it. I'm not going to talk you through taking all these pipes and bits off. I've done it enough times now. If you want to see how to do that, then just skim back to one of my previous videos that I've done recently, probably the spark plug video, where I show you how to remove all this stuff. It's really easy, straightforward, but let's just cut to getting rid of all of this stuff off the top of the engine, and then we can have a look at pulling it apart. So prior to pressing record on this video, I have also poured in an entire bottle of this stuff, this engine flush, into the engine, try and clean out any gunk and deposits that might already be in there. You have to run the engine whilst doing this and let it get up to operating temperature. It also advises that when it comes to draining the oil, you need to drain the oil whilst it's hot. So I need to act quickly to get the engine oil drained out before it cools down too much. And I then need to drain the coolant, which will now be scalding hot. Be very careful if you're having to do this job, because you need to make sure you release the pressure in the system, because if you start trying to pull off pipes, the pressure in the coolant system is going to blow that pipe off the connection and cover you in scalding hot coolant. So take off the cap, but obviously do that with extreme care so as not to get the water spewing out of there, and then you can work on actually taking the coolant pipes off. I am going to start with the oil. fact that I can't get the sun plug out is probably an indication of how well and frequently serviced this car is. Can't be good when you have to break out the breaker bar. Oh, that's moving. There we go. Not too bad. Could be worse.
Fortunately, there were no sparkly glitter in the oil, but it was incredibly dirty and incredibly old, so it was definitely due a service, definitely due a replacement. I suspect because they couldn't get the sump plug out, they just not serviced it in a long time. We need to take this hose off so that we can get all the coolant dropped out of the car. Whilst most people probably use their phone as a torch, most people aren't as stupid as me as to have a white leather case on their phone, which I'm then covering in grease and oil whilst I'm doing this work.
That's not good. Actually pink. This is a reasonable colour.
As it turns out, I spoke too soon.
That's a nice colour.
Next up, I took the air intakes and the throttle body off. I then took the fuel rail out, and definitely didn't pour petrol all down my front. It's a good job I don't have a sense of smell at the moment, really. I got the correct timing kit so that I could set the timing on this engine. This set probably cost about £11 to £12 off Amazon. I'll pop a link in the description and up on the screen now so you can see where I got them from. The timing is set on this engine with the pistons in the cylinders all at an equal midpoint. To do this, you use these special cam locking tools that screw into the front of the cam carrier on the top of the engine, which you can see me doing here. You have to rotate the engine until they slot into place, and once they have slotted in, you cannot turn the engine anymore. It is locked. You must not try to turn the engine with these tools in place. Next up, you screw these tools into the spark plug holes. If you were able to turn the engine, these move up and down and give you an indication of where the piston is inside the cylinder. In a 4-cylinder engine like this, pistons 2 and 3 and 1 and 4 both move together, so whilst pistons 2 and 3 are down, 1 and 4 will be up. You need to screw one of these indicators into either piston 1 or 4, and then another one into piston 2 or 3. In this instance I've done 1 and 3, and this will give me an indication of where all 4 pistons are inside the engine. With these indicators screwed into place, I can already see that something is not correct. The indicator in cylinder 3 is sitting higher than the indicator in cylinder 1. This indicates that the timing is not set correctly, as the cams are actually locked in place, so they cannot be turned. The final part of setting the timing is to use this tool here to lock the crank in place. The thing is, with this attached to the crank, you should find that the top part lines up with this bolt hole, but it's not. So the timing is clearly out on the car. This is not good. Not good at all. With the timing out, it could have caused damage to parts of the engine, especially the valves and the pistons. So with the timing out, we need to get it in time, so I'm going to remove the cam belt tensioner and get this old cam belt off. Once I've removed the cam belt tensioner and the cam belt is loose, I can go down to the bottom half of the engine and I can rotate the crank assembly the about half a degree or so needed to get the crank back in time with the rest of the engine. At this point I actually got my dad to come over and help with this job. It was just turning into a big job, and I think having an extra pair of hands is always useful. The top of the engine has all these little plugs in the top, so the next job is to take all of them out. That gives you access to the bolts to remove the cam carrier. This was probably one of the most frustrating parts of the process. The bolts that hold the cam carrier in place are ribe bolts. It's a pretty outdated type of bolt that is a little bit like Torx, but it's got 90-degree castellations on the end. It's very difficult to get the tools for, and I didn't have a tool that would reach far enough down into the cam carrier to reach the bolts. Fortunately, my dad did have this quite long ribe tool and we were able to get them out. And being 100% honest here, if I didn't get my dad to help me, what happened next would have just turned into a disaster. With the cam carrier off, we get our first glimpse inside the engine. You can see here that the valves and springs are all absolutely filthy with dark black oil. Instead of just going straight in, at this point we just turned our attention to taking off the exhaust manifold. This had been a problem area that I'd noticed when I'd been doing some of my other tests, and there'd been a definite exhaust leak from the exhaust manifold. With the exhaust manifold removed, we could actually see the problem directly. On cylinder 1, as you can see here, the actual exhaust gasket is not stuck. The gasket is stuck solidly to the rest of the cylinder head, but here is clearly where it was blowing through. They'd left some scorch marks on the sides of the cylinder head.
Right.
I'm really sorry about the quality of this shot, but it sort of gives you an idea of just the sludge that was built up in the top of the cylinder head. Here I'm picking dirt and debris out of the top of the cylinder head bolts, because we can't actually get the tools into the bolts until we get all this sludge out. So next up is where things started to go a bit wrong. We were struggling to get any purchase on the ribe bolts that hold the cylinder head in place. We tried everything we could to get the tool down into the bolts, but we were really struggling. In the end, we literally hammered an impact ribe driver into the top of the bolts, and then hammered it a few more times to try and break any sort of resistance or anything in the threads that was sticking, any rust or corrosion. It then took both of us with a breaker bar to actually turn the bolts on the cylinder head. I think the cylinder head had been off before. Some of the bolts were thread locked in place, some of them weren't. I think that they were over tightened, to be honest with you. There's no way it should have taken this much effort to get a few cylinder head bolts out. And then, after a couple of evenings of playing about with it, and one final bolt securing a wiring loom to the top of the head came off.
There we go.
Apologies for the very close camera work here. I think my dad got a bit close with the camera when he was trying to film this.
So thank you for watching. That's it for this video. What I will say is that I found quite a few things wrong with the engine as we were taking it apart. So the head gasket was blown between one of the oil and one of the coolant channels. The exhaust gasket was blown. It had quite significant carbon buildup on the back of the exhaust valves, to such an extent that with the valves fully open, it was probably only opening or only actually letting about half as much flow of exhaust out of the cylinders as it should have done. So that was choking the engine. Another thing I found was on the intake side, there was quite a lot of grit on the insides of the intake manifold. So that's all going to have to be cleaned out. I suspect that may well have been down to that split rubber hose after the air filter, allowing all sorts of dirt and grime to get in. Fortunately, the end nearest the cylinders didn't really show any grit. At the insides of the cylinders were in quite a clean condition, which was good to see. So join me in the next video where I will be stripping down the cylinder head, cleaning up the valves, cleaning up the air intake, cleaning up the exhaust side as well, and then we'll be looking at putting everything back together with new cam belt, new cam tensioner, water pump, and probably new thermostat, as well as all of the gaskets and everything else along the way, and cleaning any other bits and pieces up that we find that need a bit of work as we're going along. So join me for that. Thank you for watching. Do remember to subscribe, do click like, do the thumbs up and all the usual things, but what I would really like you to do, and what really helps the channel grow, is when you share our videos with friends and family on social media, things like that. So please, above all else, do share the videos. It really helps the channel grow. I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.
You've made it this far, why not watch another one of our videos? Here's a couple that you might be interested in. Otherwise, be sure to click that subscribe button that's on the screen right now. See you in the next one.